Obligatory podcast intro.
Hello and welcome. This is Flipping Pages with Matt and Adam. I'm Matt with my co-host Adam, and this show is where we take all 53 letters of the alphabet, we put them in a kangaroo pouch, we each draw a letter and then pick a comic that begins with that letter. I don't know his, he does not know mine. Spoilers ahead for these two comics. And if you feel like it, stop by Instagram at Flipping Pages 24, Facebook at Flipping Pages with Matt and Adam. Come say hi. You got what, D?
Yeah, I got D.
D.
And you got Y.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And you obviously knew which letters we were going to get. Not which person was going to get the letters. But by process of elimination, there was only two letters possible.
Yeah, my wife was real excited because she knew my letter and I didn't.
Oh,
and
right.
she was like, Adam got D and you ready? And I turned around and I was like, why? And she was like, yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, there was only two possible.
It was only two letters left. I got it. Out of all 53, there's only two left.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's cool.
Right.
Well, I got D, and I went to Half Price Books, as usual. It took me a little while because there was actually a bunch of options for it. And you know what's crazy? I found... After I got home, I was like, I have a D one that would have worked perfectly already. It's called Die, like it's dice or whatever. Yeah. And up there, they had 2 and 3. So I was like, fuck, I could get the second and the third one just so I have 1, 2, and 3.
Have you read it?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I didn't do it. The art looks cool.
It could be really bad.
Yeah, but it was so cheap up there.
It's about gambling or something?
It's like they get into a role-playing game world or something. I don't remember.
Okay.
That's like Die for like dice, basically.
Yeah, I'm watching an anime like that.
No way. No way.
Yeah, it's a new thing. They don't do it very often.
They don't do it. It's very rare.
Very rare.
Yeah,
They haven't done it since Narnia, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's not even a game, so it's totally different and new.
Nobody even does that.
No one does that at all.
So I was up there, and like I said, there was a good selection of stuff. There was that Die series, and there was some other stuff. And then I saw the cover. This was like on the end of it. I saw the cover, and it was Deathblow. And he was one of the characters from the WildStorm comics in the 90s that I didn't really know much about.
Valiant?
No, WildStorm.
That's the comic company.
Yeah,
WildStorm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
So they have a team called Stormwatch, which makes it kind of confusing.
Right.
They have Stormwatch. They have Gen 13. They have a few other ones. I don't remember all of them, but they had quite a few comics for a while.
So you've never done a WildStorm?
No.
We've just talked about it.
I don't think I have.
Was Law Dog WildStorm?
No, I don't know. That was one of the Epic comics.
That's right.
Subsidiary
Marvel,
of Marvel or whatever.
That's right.
Yeah, so no, this is WildStorm, and in the 90s they were like completely independent for a very short time, and then DC came on. I don't know exactly when, but DC came on, and by the time this came out, it was all DC.
Oh, it's like a big brother coming to steal the little
like
brother's
Epic,
cool toys.
It's Epic Comics to Marvel Comics.
Oh, really?
It's the same idea.
So this guy's not coming across Superman, but he's still DC?
Yeah, technically. They could like fold them into their universe through
if
multiverse
they want
shit.
it.
Yeah.
But WildStorm probably couldn't.
No, they don't get a pick.
Yeah, no.
They don't get a pick.
That's funny.
They
okay.
have other
so
WildStorm
is it
people.
like Epic where it's a little more raw too?
Yeah. At this point, it was a little more raw than like your average mainstream DC or Marvel. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but not insane. I wouldn't be like, oh, it's an M++ mature rated. Like, no, it's kind of like R-rated or like a hard PG-13 or something. They don't curse for nothing in it, for real.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I don't think there's any cursing, actually, but the violence is pretty up close and like gnarly and stuff.
No, okay.
It's cool.
Yeah, dude, violence, sex, all that's fine as long as there isn't any dirty words.
Yeah, it gets in America at least.
Yeah, right.
It's so funny.
Violence and gore is okay as long as there's no naughty words.
Yeah. So this is Deathblow. Like I said, I knew of him, and he was in like crossover comics that I had when I was a kid, but I never had any of his comics by themselves. So this is the graphic novel I got, or whatever you want to call it, trade paperback, is actually 1 through 9 issues.
Holy shit!
So like it doesn't look like it to me. It's barely.
It's not very large.
No, it looks like one of the 7s or something.
Yeah, because I would get Marvel ones that were 5,
and they were
just
close
about
to this.
just about those.
I don't know. So maybe just they're
That
short
size,
issues, and it doesn't, obviously it doesn't have any of the ads and stuff in it.
Okay.
So if it has ads and stuff, it would be a lot bigger, of course.
Right.
So like I said, it was 1 through 9, but it came out from 2006 through 2008. So it took them that long to put out 9 issues. Yeah.
And there's no more after this?
I think there was. I don't think there's enough to fill another one, if I remember correctly.
So you're saying these actually took that long to come out?
Yeah,
these
issues,
wow.
Whenever they were released, it took from 2006 to 2008 to release all 9 issues.
We're doing 4.5 a year.
Right.
That's
it's so weird. Yeah, it's so weird. I don't know, man. So I didn't even write down the authors and the artists. So Brian Azzarello is the writer, I believe. Let me check. Yeah, he's the writer, and the artist is Carlos Deonda.
Deonda.
Yeah. D''A.
Oh.
Donda. I don't know. One or the other. It's a cool name. I just can't say it right. And so, like, I'd heard of Brian Azzarello before. Never in a million years would I be able to be like, oh, yeah, he wrote blah. But I remember hearing of him. I think he was on DC stuff is where I remember him, which makes sense if he's on this.
Right, yeah.
And I've never seen the artist's name or that artist's name before. I don't remember seeing it, at least. But he's awesome. That's one of the main reasons I got this one. I didn't really read the wrap up or this little blurb on the back even. I just opened it and flipped through a few pages, and the art was super dope, and I was like, oh cool, WildStorm's dope, I'm doing it. So like I said, it's so the way this is like an origin story, but kind of like a continuation of an origin. So like this takes place like in 2001 to 2000. This guy's story, we pick up with him in like 2000. Okay. He's captured by a terrorist group called Them. So the good guys, or the American government, is called Us, and it's an acronym for whatever their stupid thing is.
And them,
and then Them is their acronym or whatever. So he gets captured, and he's already been like a superhero Black Ops guy. So he wasn't really a superhero. He was more like Spawn before Spawn turned into Spawn. Yeah. So Al Simmons or whatever.
Oh, right.
It's like a Black Ops guy.
Yeah.
And so he did Black Ops, and we pick up with him getting captured by
African American Ops.
Yeah, he said, look, that's so funny. He says, my name is Michael Cray. I've been presumed dead for 6 years. You might say I work in Black Ops, but you'd be 9 shades too light describing what I do. That's so funny. It's like exact timing. So what happens is he's held for 6 years, like I just said.
By them.
He's being tortured, and he actually ends up dying 3 times throughout that time.
Holy
he
shit.
just has the Jin... oh, God, what's it called? It's the Jin factor. It's like X-Men factor, or like X gene. So it's the same thing, except it's more like the Inhumans, where they have to be exposed to a special chemical that unlocks it in their genes. Okay. So if you have it in your genes and you get exposed to this chemical, you turn into some sort of metahuman superhero type person. But if you don't have it, nothing happens. You don't die, you don't get sick or nothing. You just don't get any powers. So there's some people in the world at this exact point that have been exposed to Jin factor and had been used as like, assassins and whatnot. So it's not completely...
As they would, yeah.
Yeah, it's not completely unheard of for there to be some people with powers. So what happens is the government goes in to save another one of the prisoners, not even Michael, not even Deathblow. They are going in to save some war hero guy. So they go in and they blow the war hero guy's door open, and the explosion kills him inside. So the extraction team kills their main objective to take out And they're like, hey, man, our guy's dead. We can't leave empty-handed. We're screwed. And this whole time...
Let's just take this guy.
Yeah, so no, yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
So Michael is actively being tortured by, like, them doctor, like torturer doctor guy. So he's in one of the cells right down from where the other guy blew up. And the torturer and the doctor are looking out the cell, like, slot, and they're like... Hey, we are cooperators. We're the ones who called you. Please come help us, whatever. And as they're doing that, Michael Deathblow stands up from his chair that he was tied to and just explodes out of his like restraints, and then crushes the one torturer guy, and then he boots the doctor guy's face into the slot, and
Nice.
like the middle of his face comes smushing out of the slot.
Oh, that's cool.
It was really cool. And they're like, who are you? And he's like, I'm Michael Cray. My code name was Deathblow. I worked in. That's that stuff I was reading, the Black Ops stuff.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, that'll work. Like, that'll work.
Let's just take this guy.
Yeah.
He sounds good too.
Yeah, exactly. They got lucky.
Yeah,
finding him. Honestly,
he's obviously a badass.
Yeah. So he gets taken back to like they say it's America, but they're actually in Cuba, I believe, is where they said. They take him back to like debrief him. So they know he's been captured for 6 years by this crazy terrorist organization, and they're convinced that he's been brainwashed to work for them. They're like, that's the only reason he's alive is because they were going to use him to send back to us so he could, be a double agent or whatever. And so they like instantly start brainwashing him when he gets back, like re-brainwashing him, and they take away all his aggression and his drive to like fight and stuff, and make him like ultra passive, like as passive as possible. That way,
my name is Lifeblow now.
They can keep him around, but now they have no worry about
him freaking
even
out,
if he's in control by the other people.
Right.
Yeah. So we see the shadowy U.S. I'm going to keep saying U.S. because that's what their actual ones are called. From the beginning, you see that they're shady. Like, they're not really trying to hide it.
Our government?
Oh, no way. And so, like, it shows them pretty off the jump, showing, like, hey, these guys probably aren't trustworthy.
Yeah.
So he goes, we're bringing you home, boy. So they bring him back to New York, bring him into a apartment, and as the door opens, two like 10-year-olds run at him going, daddy, daddy, and there's a chick behind him that you presume is his wife or whatever. So he gets like instantly freaked out when he sees the kids and stuff, and he like is super visibly shaken, like he does not understand what's happening. But the brainwashing was good enough where he goes, Johnny, Martha, and they're like, yeah, daddy, it's us daddy. And then he sees the chick and he walks over and he's like, oh, you're even more beautiful than I remember, blah, blah, blah. And the lady starts crying immediately and runs away. The general that brought him there goes, oh, yeah, let me take you in another room. He goes, yeah, your wife died a few years back. And so that's actually, her name is Chastity. She's just your nanny who takes care of your kids. So don't call her your wife or whatever. It's not your wife. And so he's like, honestly, sir, I don't remember really any of this. And he goes, I don't remember having a family or anything. He goes, the general goes, a brand new family? God, I envy you. And then leaves. What an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's a wink to us, but like, whatever. It's dumb.
Don't sprinkle it in like that.
Yeah. So then we jump back to what the general that just left dropping off Michael is doing. He's building 1 billion cyber rats. They show that like right off. They're like regular sized rats for the most part, like white rats, like lab rats basically.
Right.
And they start like putting little laser goggles on them, and they have like bomb packs and battery packs, and it's really cool. They actually come into play later. So now Michael's walking around his home city or whatever, and
quotation marks.
Yeah, exactly. He's walking around, and all this terrible shit's happening, like right in front of him, like people getting beat up and like robbed and stuff, and he's not doing anything about it. He's not even really paying attention to it. You understand what they were talking about when they're like, "Hey, we got him to be a wuss." Basically.
Yeah, right.
That way he won't fight. So he's not. He's like won't fight anything. So he's like. This part's kind of important, so I'll talk about it. He's like tripping out one night, having like a panic attack, and he goes out on the the fire escape, and he's sitting out on the fire escape. And some guy next to him goes, "Hey, neighbor, what's up, neighbor? You don't look so good." And he looks up, and it's a dog, like a shaggy dog, like a big shaggy dog. He goes, "I don't feel so good." And then the dog goes, "What's wrong?" And he goes, "Oh, what isn't?" And then he starts talking to him for a minute, and then he's like, "Wait, you're like a dog or whatever, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, but I can talk. It's all good. Like, don't worry about it." And so he goes, "Okay, cool." And the dog's like, "Man, you're a victim here. Everyone's taking advantage of you. You're going to have to use some self-defense or something." He words it weird like that. So Michael goes back inside, and he puts on what I would describe as a KKK outfit, but painted or like black material.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So like his hood, it looks like a pointed like hood. But then like this is more like a poncho with like strings coming off. So he's not
still
trying
very
to,
close.
Yeah, he's not trying to be like that, but that's what it looks like. So then we pick up with him just like walking around and taking care of business. Kind of Batman style where he's in like the alleyways and taking out robbers and thieves and stuff. So like he starts doing that a lot, and he starts like opening up and being more happy and whatnot. So he's around his kids and whatnot. He like he smacks the baby nanny's butt and tells her to call him daddy. Like real quick. He went out the night before, beat some people up, and then now was just
got his drive going.
Yeah, got it running wild. And he was all cursing in front of the kids and whatnot. He comes outside and he's looking for the dog, and the neighbor's there, but it's a human. And he goes, "What's up, Mr. Jimmy? Where you at, Mr. Jimmy?" He goes, "Oh, you looking for the dog?" He was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Where's he at?" And he goes, "He's down at the park, putting his nose where it probably doesn't belong." And so he's like, heads to the park to find his friend, Mr. Jimmy. And on the way, we meet another Jin Factor human. Mm-hmm. So it's the first other one that we meet on here. And he's a teleporter for the most part. Oh, cool. He's got like really good teleporting powers. And he's just kind of talking to Michael Cray as he's walking, like, "Hey, what do you believe in this world?" You know, kind of like general whatever comic book talk. And then he disappears. And now he's going back out and being a vigilante again every night. Like, no matter what, he goes out and he murks people. He's just absolutely destroying everybody. And then he's coming back one night. Mr. Jimmy, the dog, like, finds him, and they start talking again. He's like, "Oh, you're doing so good about it, man. Like, see, don't you feel better?" And, like, all this and that. And at that moment, like, is it like a SWAT team that comes down here? See, yeah, that does it. I think that's hallucination. Never mind. He gets back into his house, and he's laying down in his room, and he didn't bother to take a shower and wash off all the blood. So his son goes into the room, and he sees the uniform or whatever, the KKK outfit on the floor, and his dad with all bloody fists. So the kid tells his sister, "We need to call the general." After that, we jump to Deathblow. I guess I'll call him Deathblow now because he's actually doing that stuff. Exactly. Deathblow's on the street just exacting revenge wherever he can, murking people, exploding their brains as much as possible. It looks really cool. But during the fight, you see that the government wants him. They think he's turned or whatever.
Oh, he's in spy mode now?
Yeah, so now they send him a cybernetic dinosaur human hybrid thing.
Of course.
It looks kind of like what's the dinosaur from the Invincible series? That guy. It looks like that guy. He looks almost exactly like that guy, except he's got cyber arms and he's smaller, just smaller. So as we see it, Deathblow kind of fucks him up pretty quick. Like the Dino guy, I don't remember them saying his code name or nothing, but he shoots the Dino guy in the head and wins basically. So now
he's killing people.
Yeah, he's like fighting like full on real enemies now. And then we see the kids and Chastity at a fairgrounds or park, and the general's like second in command is there interviewing him basically. Kids are like, "Hey, that's him for sure. We know it's the whatever." And they're like, "Well, you're too late. We already know that it's," you know what I mean? Because they just sent the dinosaur guy at him. So, but the kids confirm it as he's outside, as Mark's outside. Michael, I mean, he's outside talking to the dog. The kids go to their room and grab like some MP5s and like
they
some
have
Uzis and shit and like some like little AKs and shit. And they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to take care of this. What are we gonna do after this?" And the one goes, "I hear Aruba's nice this time of year." And then the little boy goes, "I'm all about Bangkok." So they're talking about where they're gonna go after it. So I probably won't
They're
remember
just tiny little agents.
So I probably won't remember later to tell you what their deal is. So one of them's 37 and the other one's 45.
I was gonna
or something
ask
like
if they
that.
were older.
So like they're like Gen X type shit or whatever. Gen Factor. Yeah. So they just
rolls off the
made
tongue.
them look like little kids or whatever.
Yeah.
So they can get into places where regular people can't.
38 and 45.
Yeah, yeah. And so he's outside talking to the dog, and as he's coming in, or the little girl goes, "What's he doing?" And the little boy looks out, and he goes, "He's talking to the dog next door." And the little girl goes, "Oh, man, he's really lost it." And the boy goes, "I mean, the dog is talking back. So the dog's legit. It's not in his head." They kind of framed it to be like, obviously.
They can hear the dog?
The dog's actually legit talking to them. So, yeah, the little boy sees it, and he goes, "Oh, shit, the dog's actually talking back."
Yeah. So if he was like, I was talking to Mr. Jimmy, the owner might have been like,
He knew.
oh, yeah.
He knew exactly what he was talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so as he's done with his conversation with the dog, he's walking back up the fire escape, and he's about to go in. His shadow goes across the window, and the little kids, like, open up on him. And one of them his little boy sticks the gun, like, out the window, and he grabs the gun from him and yanks his head into the window and, like, breaks his nose immediately. And then they start having a cool little gunfight in their tiny little apartment. Chastity comes out of her room. She goes, "Mr. Cray," and he goes, "Chastity." He's like, "Get down" or something.
Call me daddy.
Yeah, and she comes flying across, like in her like skimpy like lingerie.
Yeah, let me see.
She comes flying down the hall and starts kicking his ass.
Oh, she's
So she's
decked
an
out.
agent
Yeah,
as well. It's pretty cool.
She kind of bad. She's pretty bad. This panel right here is just a big old ass shot.
Yeah, they know their audience.
Yeah.
So now we completely understand that the whole family is just straight up agents.
Yeah, I mean, we knew, like I said earlier, we knew they were
yeah.
placed. So
Yeah.
he dropped that hint, like, new family, are you jealous? Blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
So he just murks fucking Chastity. And
Oh,
then,
shit.
And then he walks up to the kids, and they're about to try to shoot him, and he murks both of them too.
Nice.
So like, it's cool. It's really raw.
You got to kill his babysitter and the kids.
Yeah, basically. So like, the last part of this is all kind of like a wrap up, kind of. It's quite a few issues, but this is all like. That whole, what I'm trying to say is what I've already explained is more of like the setup.
Okay.
It's like the origin part / setup, and now we understand the world a little bit. We understand there's us. We understand there's them, and we find out that those dogs. There's more than Mr. Jimmy. Mr. Jimmy runs an underground of human dogs. So those were people before.
Oh.
They transformed them into dogs so they could be used for spy shit. So it's super fucked.
Yeah.
The one guy's like, "I love my owner."
I've seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I know it's fucked up.
He's like, the one dog's like, "I love my owner so much, but I can't do anything because I'm a dog. I'm not even allowed to talk to her, blah, blah, blah." It's like super sad. So we kind of, this is where right around here is where we find out that it was them who did the dog thing. But the dogs are still loyal to them. They hate their predicament, but they're still loyal. So I guess they like super programmed.
So Mr. Jimmy's a bad guy?
Yeah, Mr. Jimmy's the bad guy. We kind of figure out that here. But then we also figure out the U.S. is definitely the bad guys too.
This book is wild.
So you find out right here that, the U.S. is basically just as bad, if not worse, than them.
Oh.
So at this point, us is less worse, is worse than them sometimes.
Oh, I got hit right on the nose. Get it? Wink, wink.
So, like I said, we find out that they're both kind of just fucked. Like, us and them is pretty fucked.
Yeah.
And the dogs at Deathblow doesn't know that they're bad dogs or whatever. So they send him on a mission.
They're like, don't say that.
Yeah. Just don't ever say that. They send him on a mission to capture a scientist. They need this scientist for something. The us people have video of it happening. They realize that somehow the dogs are involved, and this is actually where they talk about where the dogs come from. They're not super smart dogs. They're humans that they turned into dogs.
Right, yeah.
And so now he's living with the dogs in like the sewer. But then the teleporter guy, the other super
Gen Factor.
Yeah, Gen Factor dude. he pops up and teleports him away even deeper. So he was already in like the tunnels underground, and then the Gin Factor guy takes him even deeper. So he's like lower than where the dog tunnels were. So you find out that there's another. It's called the Underground. So they are kind of the middle ground, meaning they don't want either of the people to completely take over. They don't want them to wipe out this. They're like the moderates of this, and so they're like the actual like underground, like the actual militia, the actual good guys.
Oh, okay, right.
So it's the Gin Factor guy and one of the guys from Us that you thought was not really a good guy. He was like not a general, but he was up there. Mm-hmm. He's part of the underground, and he's like a double agent for the underground or whatever.
Was it the guy talking to Chastity and the kids?
I think it was.
Nice. That would make
all
sense.
The generals look kind of the same.
That would make
One's
sense.
fatter than the other. I think it's the only difference. They have gray hair, cut the same, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, so one of them's part of it, or no, one of the underground is one of the Us people.
One of Us.
Yeah, so he's literally just underground hiding out. Deathblow is, and he gets mobbed by the cyber rats. So like he gets mobbed by like what? 1,000 cyber rats or something all at once, and he's like whooping them. Like eventually he figures out what's going on. He starts whooping them. He does whoop them, and the Us people, the U.S. government people, see what's happening, and they're like, "We're gonna have to send our mega weapon. We're gonna have to send our coup de grace," I think is what they call it. They also know that the dogs are there, and they need to take care of the dogs or whatever. They send the general's number 2 to drop the big bomb on it or whatever. So the bomb goes down, crashes through 3 layers of sewer or whatever, lands like right next to Deathblow, and he had just finished beating up and killing like the last of the rats. And so the bomb opens, and it's that cyber T-Rex guy from earlier again. He's like, "What? I killed you already?" And he goes, "No, you just knocked a couple wires that helped me move loose. I'm obviously not dead, but I am going to kill you. I'm going to murk you." So this is like the major action scene at the end. It's really good. I'm going to show you here after. The fight is really cool. It's pretty intense. It goes through the end of one comic and through the beginning of another comic.
Nice.
So it's not super short. So the U.S. people are watching what's happening with the dinosaur guy and Deathblow, and they're like, "Oh no, I don't know how good he's gonna do." So what happens is Deathblow uses a bunch of the rats that he had like grabbed the cyber rats from earlier, and threw them and like used them as bombs and stuff to kind of mess up the Tyrannosaurus guy.
Right.
So teleporter guy has to teleport out because he's really injured. So they both teleport away, Deathblow and the teleporter guy. So, I missed it. Yeah, so he did end up taking out the Rex there, I believe. Yeah, so they just teleported away, my bad. They didn't defeat the Rex guy yet, so they just jetted away, basically.
Okay.
So they're trying to heal up the teleporter guy's arm. It got bit off by the dinosaur guy. And Deathblow's like, "My name is Michael Cray." So, like, he's basically got all his facilities back. Mm-hmm. He's pretty much as smart as he was, knowing, like, pretty much almost everything he did before they brainwashed him or whatever. So he's like, "I know what I need to do." And he comes up out of the sewer, and there's literally, like, 70 cops around him, all with riot gear and guns pointed at him. And he kills all of them. And they're just regular cops.
70?
Yeah, it's crazy,
Just a shit ton of cops?
It's insane. So the dinosaur pops up again out of the sewer. He finds Michael.
Round 3, bitch.
Yeah, and then they have a cool fight where I showed you the double page.
Yep, yeah, I remember seeing that.
That's really cool. The dogs are even trying to help him still.
Nice.
Because they know it's a U.S. guy. So, like, even if Michael's not really on their side anymore, they still want to take out the U.S.
that guy.
Yeah, dinosaur guy. So he like takes out the dinosaur guy. He gets injured. He gets like some gnarly scars over his eyes that end up being like part of his like look or whatever.
Yeah.
And like this is where he throws the rats up, and it blows up and takes out the dinosaur finally. So this is like kind of like epilogue basically here. I am going to tell it because I haven't been even talking that long. So he gets led away by the not Mr. Jimmy, but one of Mr. Jimmy's friends. He gets led
Associates.
away. Yeah, gets led away. He's talking about how they're not on the same side or whatever, but they kind of agree on some things, whatever. He pulls out a trinket that the dinosaur guy had on him, and he's like, what is this? He goes, oh, that's a crazy bomb that you don't want to mess with that or whatever. He's like, nah, I do. I want to do it. And I think he thinks it's a regular bomb. But when he sets it off, it's a gin factor bomb. So it's like the Terrigen Mists for...
Yeah, so a bunch of people are either...
Boom!
Yeah.
So like a bunch of people there in New York. So we get like an Ant-Man,
Oh.
a Giant Man, and like a Wasp knockoff
that.
immediately after. Everybody thinks he's dead, that Deathblow's dead because he was at ground zero for the bomb, whatever. And then we see him at the end. He's not dead, but that's it. That's all you really get. There's no like, oh, this is what the bad guys are really trying to do.
Yeah. It seems mainly about him.
Yeah, it really is. So I don't even know if these bad guys are going to be like important in the future
Right.
or what. I don't know. But let's go with the faces. Besides the military men, all the faces were really good. Very standard. Nothing crazy. I liked it. The art was super dope. It read fast. Like, it definitely didn't feel like I had to read 9 issues.
Didn't feel
'Cause
like
when
you
you sit
told me
down-
about 9 issues.
Yeah,
either.
well, yeah, and I did. I barely skipped anything. There was like one subplot.
You like dialogue.
There's
and
like
some
subplot
shit.
of detectives looking for him. That's it. That was
Right.
the only thing I
Doesn't
skipped.
seem like it amounts to much.
So, like I said, like I didn't check to see if there was more after this. I feel like there was.
There's gotta be, right?
Yeah, but I know the WildStorm did go for a while, and then they folded in a few of the characters, like Grifter, the
Yeah.
guy with the red handkerchief mask and the double guns.
Yeah.
He was in one of those teams.
He's WildStorm, right?
Yeah, one of them.
There's a few other ones I know of. I can't think of right now, but I've looked at WildStorm and remember like, oh, I didn't know that was them. Not Quantum and Woody, right? No, that's someone else.
Yeah.
But no, there's a few I know of that I saw.
Yeah.
Etrigan?
No,
No?
that was on the British British Marvel. No, DC.
DC. He's
Yeah.
DC for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he came from that. I'm sure if I took time to look it up,
Yeah,
I'd find it.
you'll see some for sure.
All right, so you ready to hear my why?
Yeah.
So last week you did Zen Intergalactic Ninja.
Yeah.
I picked Young Zen Intergalactic Ninja.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, my
I'm totally
God.
lying. I found something called Young Shadow. It's super cool. So Young Shadow by Ben Sears. It's Fantagraph Comics.
Okay.
So this dude, I looked it up. He at the end of the book, there's a bunch of lists. So he has a world. It's a plus world. So I don't know if everything looks the same. So the cops in this one look the same as the cops in all the other plus world stuff.
Okay.
And they're all like different stories. It's not one giant series of the same character.
Okay.
This Young Shadow, as far as I know, doesn't pop up in other ones. But the world's the same.
Uh-huh.
The strange world they live in is the same.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Young Shadow, Ben Sears, Fantagraph Comics came out in 2021.
Oh, cool.
So, like I said, everything looks the same. So the art is very distinct. I'll talk about it now. Let me see if I can nail this here. Futuristic New Mexico, like Adobe houses
Okay.
that they build up
Okay.
instead of out.
Okay.
So like here, let me see if I can find a city shot real quick because there's a bunch of them. The art is crazy. It's tricolor, so it's yellow, white, and black. The whole issue,
Nice.
everything yellow, black, and white. It looks incredible, but the art is like very, not a lot of sharp edges, I guess. Very like rounded
yeah.
corners.
Soft.
Everything's
edges.
soft,
Yeah.
rounded. So I didn't know this. It's a kid's comic.
Huh.
It is for children. It's freaking great. I'm gonna probably read it to my kids.
Yeah.
So it's Bolt City, which again I don't know if Bolt City pops up in all his other stuff, but again the cops look the same, the dogs look the
Okay.
same, and it's just his art style. But you could choose to. It's very obviously this world that all
Okay.
those other stories are
Yeah,
set
you
in.
can. It's easy to tell.
Right. So this one is called Bolt City. It's this kid sitting on the roof. He's got scruffy hair. He's wearing a mask, like just covering his eyes, like an old Robin mask.
Domino mask.
And he's got like armor on, like It's yellow. But yeah, he's got armor on his shins, his legs, and his arms. He's got gloves on and the mask and then like a chest plate. He's on the roof just like grubbing some ramen. And he's like, yeah, it's good. So he starts calling everyone. He's like, hey, Greta. It's this girl who runs the lantern store.
Okay.
So I'm going to stop to tell you about the world. He's got a little tablet. Doesn't show what it does, but he uses it to call all types of stuff. Greta's lantern store is like a floating robot. They're called lanterns. They just fly around the city lighting it up, and they like poof out of the holes in the bottom of the body.
That's cool. Okay.
So it's a robot straight up.
Yeah.
And this right here, this is what they look like. In the city shots, you'll see them flying all over the place.
Okay.
So he calls Greta and he's like, hey, anything suspicious tonight? And she's like, no, it's actually quiet, blah, blah, blah. Hangs up. He calls this Beaver. Only character that's not a human. He calls this Beaver and he's like, nothing out here, man. It's all good. Hey, don't call this late. You're going to wake my kids up. He calls this kid Jerry. Now, they pop up so they pop up later. They're called Jerry and the Watchdogs.
Okay.
They're cool. I'll tell you what they do later, but right now he calls them anything suspicious. No, nothing's going on. They say, hey, you should come by. We're going to watch that movie where the bad guy gets his bike stolen, and we're going to tell ghost stories. And a kid goes, scary ones. And he goes, the young Shadow goes, okay, thanks, Jerry. Maybe I'll stop by. It's very cute writing, very like, yeah, we're going to watch ghost stories. Oh, I might come by.
Yeah.
And because he's like a 15-year-old Batman character, I picture him like, that was good ramen.
Oh, okay.
Like, I really picture that voice. Like, he's a kid, but he's really playing at the superhero thing. He's running across rooftops. He actually does good shit because all these people are very willing to help him. He pops up on some other people. Hey, anything going on? They're like, hey, Shadow Man. They're like, yeah, there's this kid in a mask running around asking a bunch of questions. And he's like, okay, thanks. Walks away. He goes into this guy's store, and he's like, anything suspicious? Basically, no one's got anything going on, and he's like, there's something happening out there. Super adamant that something's going on. This guy brings up, you should read this book. It's detective stuff. You like it. He's like, no, I have a hard time focusing on books. My attention span is trash. Like, a lot of the writing is like that. It's very cutesy, but really funny. And I love this character. He's just like, something's going on. Maybe we'll start a book club together. And then he disappears. The guy turns around like, I'd like that. Oh, all right. I'll see you around. So he's just walking down the street. He hears laughing. Now, this is the main bulk of what kicks off the story here. Is there's like a gang. Bunch of dudes sitting around. They're playing with knives and their tablets. They're smoking. They're kissing each other. There's I found out later it's a chick, but it looks like just two chubby dudes making out. And he walks up and he's like, you got to be kidding me, that dog. He's like, they can afford hiking equipment and tablets, but they can't feed their dog. He's like, I guess I was looking for something to do tonight. So he runs up there and is like, keep calm. Don't freak out. And he's like, you should be ashamed of yourself. So this is where they talk it out, and then they end up, about to fight. He's like, I'm taking this dog. They're like, are you a cop? And he's like, no. He's like, but I'm taking this dog. He's like, it's my property, blah, blah, blah. He knows he's a rich kid. He's like, you pretending to be homeless while you're rich and not feeding the dog shit, so fuck you. Yeah. So this is where I was like, okay, what kind of comic is this? A guy pulls out a gun, they have knives, and I'm like, is this like the beginning of Kick-Ass where he's like, is this kid about to get destroyed? Yeah. Is he really playing? Or is he serious? Does he have a superpower? Like, what is this comic? And he has no superpowers. He just beats the shit out of like 6 grown adults. I mean, beats the crap out of them. The fight scenes are really neat. Like, it shows him going right to left and, kicking, punch. Like, it's really great. And he is just kicking the shit out of these grown-ups. It's hilarious. He beats them all down. He tells the guy with the gun, like, if you ever pull that gun on me, I'll make you eat those bullets one by one. Nice. Knocking him out every time he says something. He tells him, like, listen, I'm taking that dog. It's best to just chill here. And he's like, that's my property. You're not taking him. And he's like, stop moving around. He's trying to hit him. Gets him down, throws him on the pile with the other bad guys. he goes into his wallet. It finds a slate card. It's a credit card for this guy who's the fish chemicals. So he has a card made, that the name on it is fish chemicals.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a company card, business card. So he's like, oh, what's the limit on this? 10,000. He's like, this will cover all the dog's bills and stuff.
Nice.
So thanks. If you report this and you try to claim or stop this payment, he's like, I'm gonna come find you. So he's talking shit. He's like, I'd hate to have to run into you again. He's like, you're just like the suits downtown, a slave to the system. He's like, I don't have time for this. He's like that a lot. He's always like, hurry up, let's get this over with.
Right.
Let's fight. I ain't got time for this. He's like a kid. Always in a rush. It's always like, it's time to go. So he calls Shelly, this girl. All his friends are women throughout this whole comic. And honestly, I don't know if he's a boy or a girl.
Right.
They never specify.
Yeah.
You never see them without their masks. So I assume it's a boy. It very well could be a girl. But all the people he knows are girls. He calls this girl, says, hey, can you watch this dog? I found it. I got a credit card. You can pay for all the bills, donation to the shelter.
Right.
It'll be great.
That's awesome.
So later, a few days later, he's running around. He catches these two cops walking around, and they're talking about they were just interrogating. They were torturing this old man, asking him for directions and where to find something. So these cops are walking around, and he sees them, and he's like, oh, this is no good. Cops out this late are always up to no good. They hate the cops in this. The cops are basically a gang, unlike here in real life where they're not. Nothing like that.
Yeah.
But no, these guys he sees them and he's immediately like, yeah, they're up to no good. I don't want to leave them, but he goes to check on the dog. So he's giving them pets, talking to the girl who owns it, the shelter that they're at. And again, it's a woman. And she's telling him, I can't keep him here, blah, blah, blah. You're going to have to take him. And he's like, I'll figure it out. I got to go. Again, always in the rush.
Yeah.
Running across rooftops. And he's like, let me go try and find those cops. So he stops at the lantern store. He sees a light on. And he goes, I'm going to go ask the lanterns. He actually calls Greta and says, can I come in? I saw a light on. She's like, yeah, it's only 3 a.m. Come on in. I'm just cleaning. He goes in there. He wakes these lanterns up. And he's like, hey, buddy. Sorry to bother you, but have you seen any cops around here tonight? And they just ploof smoke out of their holes.
Yeah.
And he's just like, nothing, huh? And then he walks to the back. He calls for Greta, doesn't hear anything, so he goes out the back door. He sees the 2 cops. Greta's crouched behind a corner, and she's like, look. So these cops are trying to pick a lock to this door. They can't get it. They're pissed. They're like, oh, the old man's going to know about this, so they fuck off. The kid just walks up, this young Shadow just walks up to the door and he knocks. And it clicks and it opens. So he walks in and it's an old room, kind of abandoned little house. There's a hole in the floor and it's full with water. So he sticks his head in, he sees another room. He's like, he jumps in there and he swims around. He finds a lantern that's like old and messed up. So he's like, for Greta.
Yeah.
And then he sees this key in a box in the middle of the room. He grabs the key and he runs up. It is just a quick part. She's like, damn, you can really hold your breath for a long time. And he goes, thanks. I practice a lot. Which just in my head, the gruff Batman demeanor, he's just a kid. Oh, man, I think it's so great that I practice all the time. Holding his breath. So he's like, I think those cops were after this key. We need to find out what this is. So the cops go back to their boss, and it's this guy. He's the leader of the sludge team. Okay. Yeah, sludge team. So he's yelling at the cops like, you should have got it done tonight. This is ridiculous. I don't want to wait. This young Shadow's been causing a lot of problems for my low-ranking associates, and that's you two. So get out there, get lost, fuck off, right? So this is 2 weeks later. The bully that he beat up in the park that owns the dog, he is the son of the owner of Fisher Chemicals.
Of course.
And his name is Ratchet. That's probably his nickname. But he comes in, he's like, hey, Pops, did you hear some punk kids stole me my credit card and my dog? He's like, yeah, well, you probably deserved it. He's like, it's just one kid. He's like, what are you, a bunch of wusses? He's like, isn't there like 12 of y'all?
Yeah.
And the kid's like, well, I was just wondering, do you have anything I could use to like that the gang and I could have to get back at this kid. And he's like, yeah, go to R&D. Tell him I said you could take the prototype. He's like, thanks. Can I have a bunch of money? He's like, give it to the secretary. So they says he's on his way down. And then the dad says, you said that thing molted recently. My kid's going to be the guinea pig. So that's very important. There's this tiny, tiny little storyline that is not verbalized that culminates at the end. That if you were paying attention, you saw it, but they do not say a word about that. Is it. You said that thing molted recently.
Yeah.
My kid's going to be the guinea pig.
That's it.
That's all it says. So young Shadow's running around. He goes to a dog pound now. Another woman he's friends with. He comes in and he's like, hey, do you think you could take this dog I have? I can't keep it at my place. I already have a roommate and a dog. The lady the lady that owns it, or the lady that has the dog right now, can't keep it. And then she was like, listen, if you ask me in 2 weeks, you can have it. And he starts asking her, have you seen any cops? And she's immediately like, now that you mention, I've seen more cops than usual. They've been going through a lot of abandoned buildings. You know, you don't even have to have a high school diploma to be a cop now. Everyone he meets has talked shit about cops.
Yeah,
I've skipped over a few,
Yeah.
but they're like, oh, if the cops are out this late, they're not up to any good.
Wow.
So, like, everyone mentions it. So he says, you know, are you going to be okay? Let me know if anything's going on. She's like, listen, I got an army of dogs. And there's like 30 dogs standing there. A lot of dogs, a lot of woman friends in this story.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know why, but yeah. So he goes across town. He goes back to Greta's lantern shop. He's asking about the pup. He's like, oh, yeah, Rocky just woke up. He goes in there. He goes for a walk. Now, this is the only part I feel he screws up. This is the only part he acts like a child.
Okay.
So he's in the alleyway walking his dog, and he pulls the key out and just starts looking at it. And he's like, oh, this must be important. The cops want something this bad. It's never a good sign. The cops are on the roof, and they're like, holy shit, boss, he's got it. He's like, I knew it. Follow him. So they're like, okay. He goes back in, takes the dog in. He's like, I'll be back tomorrow to check in. She's like, please, my landlord, you know, we can't trick him. The dog can't stay here forever. They're going to figure it out. And she points to a dog with a picture of Rocky wearing glasses and a hat. She's like, he's going to see through his disguise eventually. I just thought that was adorable.
That's good.
So now he goes somewhere else in town to a shop. Another woman he's really good friends with. Her name is Jen. He's like, hey, I need some dog food for a medium-sized dog, brown, if that helps, and a toothbrush and toothpaste. Gives her a bunch of stuff. He asks her, you know, busy night. And he says, how's your night going as well as always? And she's like, normal, I guess. I got the usual pushy cop helping himself to a candy bar now and then. He's like, you want me to pay him a visit? She's like, what is this, a protection racket? He's like, nah, I just fucking hate the BCPD.
Right.
No cursing, but he's like, I just can't stand the BCPD. And he's like, they've been extra assertive lately. So he's like, what do I owe you? And she's like, don't worry. Just come help me with inventory the next day. I know if you need this stuff, it's going to someone who actually needs it and benefit from it. So go ahead. So he leaves the shop. He goes to, this is his house now. There's a woman, a roommate staying with him. Her name is Marge. Not super important, but again, another woman friend. And he's like, I picked up some food for Roger, toothbrush, toothpaste. Here you go. And she's like, listen, thanks for letting me stay here. I'll get out of here as soon as I can. He's like, don't worry about it. I'm never here. And let's see here. You should have told me the landlord sold your building. He's like, I could have done something. He's like clenching his fist. And she's like, it's fine. I want to get somewhere better. Thanks for letting me crash here. You are doing something. And then they do another... I got to get going. The BCPD is up and doing bad stuff. I got to keep an eye out. So 2 hours later, he's out on the city streets. He's running around. He hears laughing. And when he turns around, it's the gang members, which you don't necessarily know that, but it's them, the guys he beat up earlier.
Right.
And they're wearing these like crazy like rock suits. They're wearing suits.
Yeah, I see that.
Some kind of suits.
That's weird looking.
So when they step, you kind of sometimes see little puddles on the floor.
Okay.
like it's melting or something or molting or whatever.
Okay.
So I don't know what it exactly is. It's all yellow, black, and
Yeah,
white. So it looks
yeah.
like rocks,
It
but
does.
it could be liquid. Because it'd be like some weird non-Newtonian thing where it's
Yeah,
like, oh, it gets
okay.
hard when you punch it, but
It looks weird, for sure.
It looks like rocks though.
Yeah, it does.
They got rock helmets, chest plates and gloves and boots. So they're basically like, you know how long it takes to get a new credit card? You're like, thanks, asshole. He's like, it's gonna take forever, and he's like, oh. He's like, you're the guys I schooled in the park the other week, right? He's like, you want some more? You come back for a second helping? They're like, we know you have something about a key. Me and my gang got no problem killing you and then taking the key. We're going to look great for our boss. Because he basically told him, like, hey, fuck off. He put the cops on the key, not
Yeah.
these guys.
Yeah.
This guy has just heard about it and is like, I'm going to go kill this kid and then take the key to him and be like a hero for him, right? Because he got all the suits from his dad.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What?
Yeah, the gang-
okay.
The Fisher Chemicals
Yeah,
dude.
my
This is
bad.
nothing to do with the sludge monster, the
Yeah.
sludge
I got it now.
team yet.
Yeah.
So they're like, just give me the key. So he starts fighting. He starts beating the shit out of them, dude. He's got batons. He's throwing them in their faces. He's jumping around, kicking them, just beating the crap out of them. And the main dude, Ratchet, is like, those guys, you might be able to beat them up, but my suit's special. He says, let's get this over with, and he gets kicked in the back. So since he's a kid, he's pretty much knocked out.
Yeah.
They pick him up and they're like, give me the key. And he's like, I don't have it. They're like, tell me where it is. They're about to start beating the shit out of him. And then the main dude, Ratchet, gets kicked in the back of his head. And there's this person standing behind with this helmet. They kind of look cool. I like it.
Oh, okay.
And have you seen Young Shadow yet? Have I showed you him? That's him.
Oh, okay.
He got a new haircut at some point, and he's like, nothing's better for putting fear in the bad guys and low self-esteem. So yeah, this new person helps him out. They're like, can you run? She's like, let's split up. They'll be here soon. So the dudes are on the floor all beat up, like, I can't believe this kid got us again. So this guy or Young Shadow is now, and we find out the other person is Spiral Scratch. It's another young person.
Oh, okay.
So the Spiral Scratch person basically breaks it down. He's like, listen, there's an old man that was building weapons and armor for the cops and other bad guys, right? So they were torturing him. He escaped from the warehouse. He hid all his research. And then he hid the key that you found.
Okay.
Because Young Shadow is now getting popular because he's messing with like the biggest new gang member in town, and they got a beef going on, and Fisher Chemicals is caught up in it. So it's a whole thing. Like, listen, you're getting famous, and you went from being a nuisance to like priority number one. They all want that key. So they said, yeah, the old man doesn't have much leverage. He has no family or anything. He just bounced, gave him the key. They don't really have much to do with him. They're torturing him. That's what the cops were talking about.
Yeah.
So he's too beat up to work, and he's not talking to where the key or his research is. So he's like, how'd you find out about the key? And she's like, you've been making a name for yourself. The sludge team, boss isn't as dumb. He's got people keeping tabs on you now. So basically, I started keeping tabs on you. She said, Young Shadow says, why are you helping me? Whatever side the cops are on, I tend to go the opposite. So that's like the fifth character that's like, fuck the cops.
They made sure to make that clear.
It's cool. So in the back, I've noticed this. This is like a little part, this stuff. I'm seeing this like slime,
Okay.
like all over the buildings,
Yeah.
all over the walls and stuff. Like I don't know if it's just art idea, like a concept he's doing, just, hey, this is part of the world, or if it's something specific. So
Okay.
the next evening, the sludge team boss is yelling at all of them, the cops and Ratchet and his gang. He's like, they're like, no, he's got a friend now. And he's like, cool, so there's two kids that can kick y'all's ass. Like, y'all are ridiculous. You know how bad this is making us look to the other gangs? Like, I don't want to hear a word. And he calls them the Crust Gang. So I think it is Rocks, right?
Okay, yeah.
So he tells them, like, listen up, we have to recover that shit tonight. The cop goes, listen, When we were telling him we saw him go to like a bunch of people's businesses and houses. Let's just go lean on them and fuck them up, and then he'll show up. And the Ratchet's like, that was my idea. And basically the boss is like, both of y'all shut up. He's like, I'm going to tell my dad you're keeping us on the sidelines. He's like, your dad won't do anything. He's like, you want to know the CEO of Fisher Chemicals' son is running with the sludge team. And the cop laughs. He tells them both to shut up. And he's like, go. So this is what I noticed my third read. Behind the vent of the main boss, there's 2 eyeballs sticking out. And slime.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
It reminds me of Super Mario World, the movie or whatever.
This dude reminds me of an Adventure Time character.
Yeah.
Look at his lips.
Definitely.
Looks very much like Adventure Time. And some Far Side, because look at the, the other side.
Far Side.
Look at that guy's face. Like,
oh, that's a Far Side. Gary Larson, yeah.
Gary Larson?
Yeah.
That guy. All right, so across town, young Shadow's chilling with this girl. Oh, it's the girl that he lives with. They're talking about his house. He's like, I mow the lawn and I do maintenance, so they let me live here. Never mentions parents or anything. He is just by himself. It's
well, he has to be an orphan, duh. Otherwise, he wouldn't be
he's Batman.
A superhero.
Yeah, he's Batman, right? He's got to...
Exactly.
So he's like, yeah, I'm going to go help Jen with the food tomorrow. She said, yeah, cool, I'll tell her I said hi. So he gets out. He's like, I hope I can get all this done before Scratch calls, or Spiral Scratch. So he goes to the shop, which is, I really don't remember the names. I think it's Jen. Could be Marge. There's a bunch of them. Really doesn't matter.
There's been a few already.
There's like 5 women he's super tight with. So the cops are there giving her a hard time. She starts yelling, they stole the donation. And they popped her tires. So real quick, she's looking, and I love this. There's little sparkles around the bike. So she sees the bike.
Yeah.
She's like, that's the idea. Look in that window right there.
The eyes.
It's another eyeball.
Yeah.
So I'm like, someone's watching them throughout this whole comic. And so she yells at the neighbor. She's like, yo, Miss Franklin, I got to borrow your scooter. The cops are at it again. And the Miss Franklin goes, I hate those bullies. Go ahead. You know the key code. Wear that helmet. Puts the helmet on, gets on. Young Shadow calls Jerry and the Watchdogs. And he goes, I need a location on a police truck. He goes, sure thing. Give me a minute. Anybody in Smoketown seen any crazy cops speeding around? And then this other kid is like, hold on, I'm going to patch you in. And he goes, hey, yeah, I just saw him just now, headed towards the old toll bridge. Jerry goes, me and the gang will clear up traffic for you. So these kids all have these crazy devices with like wires. They got headphones on. They're communicating across town with each other. And they're younger than Young Shadow. So they're little kids. And they have this whole network, like the homeless network in freaking John Wick.
Yeah,
like
the most powerful thing that's around.
Seriously, apparently. A bunch of kids, a bunch of latchkey kids are freaking...
all the time on Earth to do.
Orphans just running around, just street kids, basically. Sure. So, yeah, like, we'll clear up a gang for you. And Young Shadow's like, you hear that? So they're chasing the car now. The cops have the car with the donation money and all this... oh, no, not the money. Donation, the food.
Okay.
All the food.
Yeah.
Yeah, she works. This is the woman that works at the shop. So they steal it. They're trying to lure Young Shadow out, basically. So he goes, see my guy? And she says, yeah, hold on. So this kid built a ramp, and he's like, as they drive by.
Nice.
They go off a ramp. Young Shadow jumps off, gets onto the truck, and he runs into like a clothesline. So it's like bra and panties in his face.
Okay.
He's like, oh, thank God they're clean. He ends up tying it on the truck and putting it right in their way. So he jumps off back onto Jen's bike. They crash. They're in the water. Oh, no. They drive off to the they land on a barge. So the sanitation guys are like, welcome to the barge, boys. And they're like yelling and screaming. So they're probably about to put them to work or something. So he's like, how'd you work that out? He's like, wasn't me. Must have been Jerry and the Watchdogs. What? So they're like, let's get back to the shop, regroup. They head back. Can't believe they stole the donation. He's like, I'll help you clean. So they start picking up. She is asking, like, what's going on? What is the thing you have? And he's like, it's a key. Yeah, well, that's what it was. They were asking about the key. And he's like, this is my fault. He's like, let me know if any more trouble comes up. So he's basically on the rooftops waiting for the Spiral Scratch to call.
Okay.
And he's like, what's taking so long? So he gives Greta at the lantern store a ring, asking her what's going on. Is everything good? Tell Rocky I said hi. You be careful. So just the last little chat with them. Again, he's chilling, gets a call from Spiral, and there's another eyeball.
Yeah, just one.
Just one eyeball.
That's weird.
Oh, yeah, and then on this one you see two.
Oh, okay.
So no slime, but more eyeballs. So I swear, dude, someone's watching them, right? Like,
Yeah.
it took me a while to notice this. So she, Spiral Scratch, I believe it's a girl too. The way she looks, she has a bun in her hair. So I'm pretty sure it's a girl. Again, another friend that's a girl, which makes me think Young Shadow might be a woman or a girl as well, because all his friends are females. Like,
yeah.
or he's just a cute young dude.
What's the other youngin that was like a superhero too?
Yeah, Spiral Scratch. She's a girl.
She is a girl. Okay.
Yeah. So she takes off her mask in a minute and you see it, but they don't say it. So it's just like you see a bun in her hair.
Okay. So yeah, then I would say
I'll show you a picture. She's definitely, you can tell. It took me a minute to notice it, but you can tell. So she tells him to meet her in the cemetery. He goes there and she's like, basically they say, listen, I found out the old man was raised at, where is it? Rick, the old man was raised by the mother of the Perpetual Circuits Orphanage, oddly enough. And then Young Shadow goes, that explains why he's so good with electronics. And he's like, let's head out. So really funny part, a little while later, they're like staking it out. And she's like, no, it was her. Spiral Scratch is like, let's just go ask the nuns. And he was like, yeah, I was curious why we were like staking it out and watching. Like,
yeah.
I'd just knock on doors. So that fool is not sneaky very much. That fool will just jump right down and be like, what are you doing? And then start scrapping immediately. So they knock on the door. A nun answers. It's a robot in a robe. All the nuns are robots.
All of them, okay.
All of them. There's like 4 right there. So they go in. They basically say, hey, someone you used to know might be in trouble. And they're like, it's Ricky, isn't it? And they're like, yeah. They find out the cops are after this stuff. And they're like, we kind of know what's going on. We have the things that the key unlocks.
Okay.
That's here. So if you can trace it back, those bad guys probably can too. So we need to go downstairs and figure this out.
Right.
So they go into this room, big locked door. They unlock it with the key. When they go in, and the nuns also said, if the cops want it, then I'll be on your side. Ricky wouldn't have wanted the cops to have his designs for weapons and armor. So yeah, everyone hates the cops in this. So they go in there and she's like, open the door, there's this energy ball floating. And she's like, don't stick your arm in there, you'll lose it. Anything non-metal can't reach in there. Okay. So she reaches in there, she pulls out basically files. They're like floppy disks. They look really cool, but they're not floppy disks. So here's laughing. It's the rock guys behind him. There's 5 of them now. And she's like, the nun's like, we have to check on the children. Y'all okay? And he's like, yep. Not worried at all.
Yeah.
They start scrapping again. He's like making jokes. He's like, fine, you got us here. You can have the documents. And Spiral Scratch is like, what are you doing? And he's like, wink. Like it straight up sparkles around him, winking.
Nice.
And there's like, smart kid. He just smashes him in the face with it. Breaks his mask a little bit. So big fight. They end up taking it back and forth. They're like tossing the files. The bad guys are grabbing it. They're tossing it. So you're finished. They throw it up in the air. They punching them. It's a really cool fight scene.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it justice.
Yeah.
He actually Spiral Scratch throws the files at one of the guys and like smashes his rock mask. It looks so cool.
Oh, damn.
It looks so cool.
It looks like when the thing gets cracked up.
Yes, really gross. I hate it. Really sets off my tryptophobia.
Yeah, right.
Like this page kind of does too. I want to see it crumble. I want to see it fall apart. Otherwise, it's like an itch I can't scratch. It really bothers me. I hate that I focused on it. So they're still talking shit, and he's like, "Come on, man, I don't have all day." Again, being like, "Let's go.
Yeah,
let's finish this up." So he's knocking dudes out, man. One of them gets a punch on him, and he starts bleeding, and he's like, "Finally!" It's like one of you learned how to fight. He pulls out his batons and just starts like crazy spider monkey, just smashing him with
hell
him.
Yeah.
So Ratchet, the main guy, actually pulls out a gun and he's like, I'm going to humiliate you like you did to me. you're too crazy, man. Both of y'all are fucking nuts. So I'm just going to kill you, take the files, and go back. So as he's doing that, you hear like a gurgle, and behind him, there's sludge coming out of the sewer. And he's like, it screams, you! It's humanoid somewhat. It's like a big fat guy. But it's just all sludge with sludge hands.
Yeah.
And he goes, you stole my clothes. And they're like, hey, what the heck? He starts taking all the armor off all the guys. He points to Young Shadow and he's like, you're all right. He hugs the main bad guy, the ratchet dude, and then he comes out the other end with no armor on.
Nice.
The guy just like sloops into the freaking sewer and he's gone. The guy Ratchet's like, what? Where's my suit? And he's like, oh. He's like, listen, I really wasn't going to shoot you guys. He's like, it's just a figure of speech. So they beat the shit out of him. They tie him all up. Yeah. They tell the nuns, like, they're going to be all right. No one else is going to come. She's like, oh, we're going to pay a visit to the sludge team. I'm sure their boss will want these files if we can sift them out of the incinerator.
Nice. Hell yeah.
So, yeah, they're talking Spiral Scratch. This is where she has her mask off.
Yeah.
There's another scene where you can see it completely off, but it's a girl. I think the little chest plate is like for boobs.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
How women's armor always looks like that.
Yeah, of course.
So he's like, oh, Greta and Rocky. He goes to check on him. He calls her at like 3 a.m. She tells him, hey, the neighbor upstairs wants Rocky, so you'll be able to see him whenever you want. And he's like, thanks. Get some sleep. We'll talk about everything tomorrow. And then there's just a last shot of him running over rooftops, and that's the end.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, look at this city.
Yeah, dude.
Did I explain it well? The Adobe, futuristic Adobe. Like I said, no sharp lines. There's no points. There's no sharp
They look
corners.
like McDonald's to-go boxes and shit. Like stacked on each other.
Yeah, because even all corners are rounded. Even their fingers, like I said, are fat.
Yeah.
The only pointed objects I saw were Spiral Scratch's gloves, which were spiked.
Okay.
And they actually went to a point. So the art was incredible. How are the faces? They were incredible.
Yeah, hell yeah.
They are a little on the cute, everyone's round and adorable.
Yeah, I noticed that.
But if you like this style, which, look, when it comes to video games, comics, if I see a cool art style, I'm in for it.
Yeah.
Mulaka was like one of my favorite games because the art was insane in that.
Yeah.
Same with this. Like, it may not be a typical thing you like or something I even read all the time, but as soon as I saw it, and I was like, this is not the cover only, this is what the comic looks like, I was in.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a kid's comic till I started reading it.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell.
But it didn't feel like a little kid's comic.
Yeah. It's
you
like
know?
early readers or like a
middle
school or
young adult, preteen shit.
Yeah.
But they did plant those eyes, I think that was the sludge monster.
Yeah.
Because all they said was, oh, it molted, that thing molted, right?
Yeah.
He's going to be the
That's
prototype.
How he got the
So
armor.
I think he was, slurping around fucking
that's
sliding
what it
around
seems
the city,
Yeah.
trying to find his armor or something.
That's what they're implying,
I guess. But he slipped it in there. So if it's for young kids, I don't think they're going to catch it. It took me 3 reads to catch that.
Huh.
But no, man, it was pretty great. I did like a lot of it.
Hell yeah.
So I'd like to know if the Plus World stuff is set in this universe.
Yeah.
Does Young Shadow pop up? If there's more of him, I would love to read it. So the only problem is this guy opened a lot of doors in this comic.
Yeah.
And didn't walk through a single one of them.
Yeah.
None of them. Spiral Scratch, you know
Yeah.
nothing about him. His parents, how did he end up by himself? Who is he?
Yeah.
What's his name? Opened a lot of doors. Okay,
Yeah.
these are questions that everyone's going to be asking. What's the molten monster? What is that?
Yeah, I guess it's to make people want to continue reading the series. Or
Right,
whatever.
if there's more.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is. I
Oh,
don't. Well, no, I
gotcha.
looked it up. I know there is.
Yeah.
Isn't. I don't know if more's coming out.
Oh,
that was
gotcha.
what I was trying to
Gotcha.
say. But yeah, no, overall, this was a really fun read, especially being
Yeah,
for
it sounds
kids.
like it.
It was cool. Super, like, that's the best way I can explain it. It was a fun read.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, when I like that writing, when like Mr. Easter was just goofy. I love that shit.
Yeah.
So this me picturing him with the gruff voice trying to be like Batman, Like, oh, that does sound fun. I might come by later. That shit's hilarious to me. So, no, great comic. If y'all find it, definitely grab it and read it. It was cool. All right, man, enough of this nonsense. We're going to fight for real this time.
Okay.
I see you notice you have a spoon in front of you.
Yeah.
Another spoon fight, volume 2. All right, so this is Matt versus Adam. We take a random character generator online, and we see who would win between who I get and who he gets. All right, so we got cartoon characters today.
Yeah. Back to that one.
Back to that. We haven't done it in a minute. We really messed up on one.
Yeah.
We're goofy. Oh, my God.
Did you get Goofy? Is that what you said?
No.
Goofy?
Yeah, pretty bad. Literally anyone you're going to get is going to beat me. I've already lost. I got Phil and Lil from the Rugrats.
Oh, my God. Let me see. Oh, my God. I barely beat you, bro.
Oh, who'd you get?
AJ from the Fairly Odd Parents, the friend of the kid.
Okay.
So, like, I'm just like they're like babies still.
We're babies.
So I'm like 10.
But we're super clever.
You're very clever. So
we survived in Paris.
You tried to crawl away, but
Phil
I just
and Lil can walk.
caught up to you and stomped your little soft spot.
Whatever, but Phil and Lil can walk.
Okay.
So I'm running from you.
And you'll see him. I guess I'll try to type it in.
Yeah, I don't know how we can.
Oh, wow. That was easy.
Oh, it came up?
Yeah, I typed in AJ and it said Fairly Odd Parents. His thing, it says do-gooder as his, like...
Oh, someone who wouldn't hurt babies.
Oh, my God.
So let me just say, this is... they might pop up.
Okay. So, powers and skills. High intellect, robotics, inventing, and scientific knowledge.
I didn't hear hand-to-hand combatant in there.
I don't need to. You're babies, bro. Keep arguing. It's like a grown man, like not even a grown man.
No,
like
you're 10. You're still a wuss.
Let's see. I don't even know how. Maybe he's older than that. Let me see.
I just typed in Phil and Lil's power. There's a Nickelodeon wiki. Oh, and I got the baby ones too.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I got personality traits. No, I have no powers. I am a baby.
Yeah.
I am 2 babies. I got 2 though.
Yeah, you're 2.
You might not be able to stomp out 2 babies before.
Oh my God,
dude! And you know we're carrying tools. We always tooled up, bro. They always got screwdrivers and shit with them.
So he does robotics, inventing, and scientific knowledge. So you know he's got a protractor and he's got a compass and he's got all those things on him. His occupations is student, super genius, founder and CEO of Galax Institute.
Okay, well, I'd hope a super genius could kill 2 babies.
He would easily kill them. Oh, and it says right here, bloodlust for killing babies.
Oh, it's high?
Yeah, high.
Well, I had a
8 out of 10, so I mean.
I had a bloodlust for killing nerds.
Oh, yeah,
so.
what was yours? Not as good as mine.
Yeah, well, there's 2 of mine, so
up.
Double it.
Oh, okay, you can add them together.
You're getting jumped by 2 babies.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I'm super worried.
Man, if it was Tommy, I would argue so much more. Tommy
you would be
fuck
able
your
to
shit
argue
up.
more because he's the main character too. Just going on like logic.
Phil and Lil are mean though. They're really cool. They're the
like
ones
the
you
muscle.
rely on. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're the muscle. You rely on them. There's a dog you need to distract. Phil's probably got it.
If I was any baby on Earth, I would say Phil and Lil would probably win. But
Besides Tommy.
yeah, Tommy. But I'm not a baby.
You're not. You're a 10-year-old boy.
Friggin' what's her name? Completely destroys the babies all the time.
Angelica?
Yeah, she can easily walk.
Rugrats used to be my shit, bro.
I watch the shit out of some Rugrats.
Yeah, dude. I loved it. I had like a whole line of stuff where I was like, this comes on and then this.
Oh,
and then
yeah. Hell yeah.
Rugrats, and then I switched to Fresh Prince, and like I had a whole line of shit that I watched.
Having to rely on whatever times they wanted to play whatever shows we liked was a nightmare, bro. Before we had TiVo or
any streaming or anything.
Dude.
Yeah, because you had to be there.
Bro.
If you missed an episode, you fucking missed it.
If there was a super popular show that came out on Friday nights, clubs suffered.
Yeah,
they literally did.
because people were at home.
They had to be home watch it.
Yeah, we have to see the new CSI or whatever the hell.
Fucking, it's the end of Seinfeld.
There's
like no one.
Seinfeld
there was nowhere. Like there was no one out on the streets whenever that happened.
Yeah, right. That was a big no. There were. They were at Times Square watching it on the big screen. So there weren't people on the streets. They were all there.
Yeah, true.
Because that was their New York show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, that was one of those shows. If there was something coming on after Seinfeld or Star Trek, and I had to wait like 10 minutes to watch, it felt like a whole episode.
Forever.
I'd be like, oh my God, turn it off. As a child, I didn't think Seinfeld was funny. And as an adult, I'm still like, good job, Pass Matt.
Right.
He's not funny.
Apparently,
he's a douchebag, too.
When I was young-ish.
Not a good guy.
Middle school, I believe, I did start enjoying it. But before that, no, I hated it.
I did like Frasier.
Why was that good? Why? Because
Kelsey Grammer is way more likable than Jerry Seinfeld,
by
though.
a lot.
Yeah.
Everybody in that cast is more likable.
Yeah, dude. Niles, the dad, was hilarious. The chicks were funny.
Yeah.
Everyone in that show was really good.
They really were.
I've been jamming Golden Girls again.
Yeah, the Golden Girls kind of jams. It really does.
It's funny, man. It's really funny. Like, I mean, it's corny. It's sitcom humor.
Yeah, you get the laugh track, but other than that, it's
dude,
clever. That's for sure.
If it doesn't look like a new show, and I hear a laugh track, it's like a warm shower. Just
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude, I put on the Munsters the other day. That was just nostalgia, bro. I was like, this is nice. This is nice. My wife came in and said, "What is this?"
Yeah, that's
like,
so weird.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah.
It's the Munsters. She's like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "You didn't watch it?" I'm 3 years older than her.
Yeah,
and she
like
makes
it's
me
that
feel
much.
like I'm fucking 10 years older than her.
That's so
Then
funny.
I'm like, "Well, back in my day."
Yeah.
Back
I told
in-
you it's because of regional television.
It is, yeah, exactly. They didn't have the same, they didn't watch the
Schedule.
same schedule that I
It was
did.
mostly the same shows for the most part.
Because it's the same channel. They
Yeah,
just
well,
broadcast it there and here.
Yes, for the most part. But like there would be shows that did not play in other places.
Oh, right.
That really did happen.
I have
so.
seen 2 different South Parks like the same night.
Mm-hmm.
I watched one and then watched a different one, and it was different,
Yeah.
like slightly different. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Then I
it's so
found
weird.
out that's the California one that comes on super late for us.
Yep.
That's what like Conan went through that. It was like infomercials, then static, and then at like 3 a.m, Conan would pop on.
Oh, right.
He had some late West Coast show, and it didn't get over here.
Oh, okay.
The only
Yeah, I
time we
didn't
popped it
understand
on for like a while, he would
Wow.
pop on at like 3 a.m.
That's funny.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. It was good. All right, so you got 21, I got 17.
You're still on 17. Okay. I
Yeah,
wasn't sure.
still on. You got a 3-0 streak
I
here
had
going.
4 more than that at one point. So
You're
you could easily
going
come
first next week.
back. Okay.
You're going first.
Yeah, that can work.
Yeah.
I can do
Enough of
that.
this shit.
I can do that.
Phil and Lil Deville.
Yeah, that's
Come
funny.
on.
I
Come
can't
on.
believe we both got kids. That's
Yeah,
like-
that kind of. I mean,
It's better than what it could have been.
Yeah, you could have got Superman or some shit.
Like I could have gotten what's his name, Timmy and Jimmy from South Park, and
Right.
the little kids might have been able to beat them.
No, you remember that
The
fight episode? No, they would have kicked
They
the
Live
shit.
fight. Hell
They, yeah, they live like a 15-minute fist fight.
So good. Love it.
Obviously, those guys never been in a real fist fight.
Oh my god. they
About
were
10
dead
seconds of
puking.
that, you're
Hold on, bro. Please don't kick me in the face while I'm puking.
like
please.
people don't know like how boxers really
Oh my
like.
God,
that-
it's insane.
I mean, like I'm not joking. 20 seconds
It's
with like
it's a
3
lot.
swings each, you're already.
It's a lot. If you're not really in good shape, it's a lot.
Yeah, you like Captain America at the end of the movie in like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
I could do this all day. Like
Yeah.
that's you
It's
after
like
3
that.
punches thrown. Like, and
And
that's
then
not even
taking a
hit
pun-
yet. You didn't
taking
even
some
get
punches.
hit yet.
Yeah, no.
That's crazy, man. I realized that young when I fought. Like,
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
I'm fucking worn out. How long was that fight? 40 seconds.
Yeah. You're like, no.
No way. It was like 10 minutes. Nope. It was less than a minute, bro.
Yeah.
That was crazy. All right. So we are on Instagram at Flipping Pages 24 and Facebook at Flipping Pages with Matt and Adam. New episodes on every podcast platform and YouTube. If you want to see the cool stuff we're talking about, we got the pics up on there every week. So if you want to support the show, the best way to do that is rate, review, like, subscribe. You know all the bullshit buttons online. Just hit all those buttons. It's the best way to help us out. So yeah, we appreciate it all. If you've been listening, thank you very much.
Yeah.
If you have hit those buttons I was speaking of, we appreciate that as well very much.
Yep.
So that's the episode. Y'all have a good one.
Bye.